Hi, welcome to Bookwood. I'm glad you chose to spend some time with me. If we haven't met before, my name is Mashou and I create bookish and journal-related content over here on YouTube. Welcome in my weekly carousel vlog. In this vlog, I will talk to you about the books that I read last week, the week prior, and I will share with you some of the activities I did with my family, all of them in this case. We are at the entrance of the Wanhériffe forest. We will try to show you a little bit of it in each of these vlogs. Well, in most of my vlogs you can see it, but we will pay specially attention to that this month since I'm hosting my very own readathon, which is called the Wanhériffe War. You will find a link to all details over here. You can still join, that's totally fine. In this vlog we have 4 books to discuss, and I propose we start with the first, which is an audiobook, and that was one that I listened in English, and it's the Astral Library. I had some time to pick an extra book, and this is the one I picked. I was attracted to it by the idea that it's about someone who jumps into books and then lives adventures in all of these books. And I must be honest, it was a nice book to listen to, but it didn't do what I thought it would. In this book we are going to follow Alex, which is short for Alexandria, like the library. And this young girl, 18, 19 years old, just came out of foster care because her mother abandoned her when she was about 8. And is trying to survive. She has several little jobs, and one of them is in the library, where she as a child and a teen always found a safe haven, a refuge for some peace and quiet, but also to be able to study the things that she otherwise would never have the opportunity to. And this day everything goes wrong. She's losing her little jobs. She is find out her bank account not only doesn't work anymore, but has another name on it. And completely desperate, she wanders into the library where she works to go read a little bit, and she has this door opening up to her where she can enter the Astral Library. This is like a magical place. This is completely out of time, and there is a very old librarian. She's 70 years old. If you're still looking for a book with an elderly character, this one could be a good choice. And this librarian explains to her that she can choose a book to live in, a book that is in the public domain. And she will not be able to mingle with the story of it, but she will get a little side role in it. And she can stay there for as long as she wants, but once a year she needs to check out this book again. And whilst being introduced to the whole concept, things start to become strange. Red cards arrive indicating that some of the Patreons hidden in books are in danger. And Alex, together with the librarian, sets off to find those people and to try to protect them, but also to find out what is happening in this book. I wanted more adventure, more fantasy story, more maybe like sailing on pirate boats and more dragon flying out of it than we really got, but it was a fun book to listen to. I used this book as a replacement for the 2 books that didn't come in from the library, one for Battle of the Bands, which was a shady character, and in the summary is explained that a shady character is attacking the library. And I used it also for GameNight, for which there was the prompt of food or a hot dinner plate. That book didn't come in, And I picked another prompt, which is the masks, because in this book there is this character who creates costumes that are adapted in the time period or the world setting the patrons are hiding in. And so that would fit that prompt. I will put after this the GameNight on Labyrinth board moves for this book. And after that, we will hop in some B-roll, which will be the images that we made in Namur when we visited the city to visit a museum. The next book I finished is La Nuit des 13 plumes. Unfortunately, this is not translated to English. It was a book that is recommended to me by Chloe, our librarian, or one of our fantastic librarians. If you want to see our great library hidden in a old castle, then you have a little vlog about that up there. And this is a retelling of Ondine, which is a classical, I want to say fairy tale. I'm not so sure if it is. And an Ondine, which is a water spirit. In this book, I had some trouble seeing where the retelling is, because it's quite far away from the original, but then it does follow certain of the paths that are in that book as well. And in this one, Ondine is a young woman. She was born and immediately the favorite of her father, who is a very tyrannic king for his kingdom. And it seems her mother is very distant with her. And when she gets like a certain age, she's sent off to some strange boarding school that is more like a cloister, a place where she's more raised in a religious way than in a knowledge way. And she is quite rebellious, or at least to these people, because she asks too many questions. She wants to know everything. And to make her not question things, some real cruel actions are taken, but it doesn't stop her. And comes the day that she gets her first period, and like the other girls, that's the day that she almost disappears from this place, being ready to get married. Of course, she didn't choose her husband, and when her father introduces her to him, she absolutely doesn't want to marry him. She has always grown up with the idea that when she would become the queen, she would be free and do as she wants, and she in that moment starts to realize that that will never be the case. She will never be really free or the one who decides what she's doing. And so she runs off a first time, helped by birds, because in this kingdom there are no birds. People don't know what they are, but she has received 13 feathers along her first years as birthday presents. She doesn't know who left them in her room, but she kept on to them. And whilst running off with the help of these birds, she encounters like a wandering troupe of artists, and one of them falls in love with her and will try to help her. But to save him, she goes back to this boarding school from where she's sent back to her father, and she will at some point run off again because she needs to find a witch. So her mother will tell her a part of the truth of everything that surrounds her birth and her being there, and she needs to find a witch. And so she sets off finding this witch together again with this young man. Well, she will first go to him, he will help her, then she will go off on her own, and then he will go after her and help her. And from there she even travels even further to find this mysterious bird. So this is not translated. I don't think it will. So if you don't want to get spoiled, go ahead, and otherwise I will tell you the rest of the story. So the curse at her birth is that this witch is her father's mother. She was unkindly assaulted by the father because she couldn't make his wife give him a male heir. And when her son was big enough, they took him away and raised him to become the tyrant he is now. And she wanted to stay in his life, so she became his godmother. She's a witch from a very ancient line, and this means that she cannot harm her son we'll keep him calling that way, her son, the king. And so she needs to help him. And she's the one who predicted that he would be killed by one of his sons. And so this king, each son that his wife bore him, he wanted to kill. She, the witch, made him agree that she transforms them into birds that help their little sister. And one of these birds is also her twin brother. Her mother is quite distant for two reasons. One, because the father installs that, because he doesn't want his one and unique princess to know the truth, but also because of all the heartache that she went through. And she will, she's also cursed. If she tells the truth to her daughter, she will die. And she does. She sacrifices herself so that her daughter can be free and find out the truth. And so they set off finding these witches. So what happens is that it turns out that she's pregnant from the guy who's helping her. So her father comes and takes this child away, takes his mother with him to take care of this baby, and leaves his own daughter to die. She will survive with the help of her brothers in bird form, so she will try and go to liberate them. And when she does, she goes back to her father's castle to basically get him out of there. And it is one of the brothers indeed that kills him. And to avoid that the brothers fight over the throne, she is the one to have to become the queen, and that's what she absolutely didn't want to do. End of spoilers. I had some trouble getting into this book. It was confusing at the start. We have like a little prologue in italic that is telling us how she comes by the feathers. Then we have another prologue, and then we jump back in time to just fairly quickly catch up with it again. It's also a completely other point of view. And the author, the writer, will do the same thing near the end. She will do like some strange time jumping, but after having understood it the first time, the second time just flows in with the rest of the story. It was like with that little bit hard getting into, a little bit confusing at the start, but once I was in it, I really enjoyed this book. And I'm trying to make my children read it, but they are not really going for it. It's a young adult, but it's harsh. So if you read French and this is harsh, do not put it in like a young adult of 12. It's more like 16, 17, 18 years at least. The next B-roll we are going into are the images of us visiting the Archeological Museum of Namur. If you one day want to visit Belgium, know that in Wallonia most of the museums are free the first Sunday of the month, so you want to plan your visit in that period. So we went to visit the Archeological Museum that shows the civilizations that we had here, starting at the Paleontologic age, so with hunter-gatherers, going all up to the Middle Ages. And I specifically chose that museum because there is a nicer part on the, what here is called the Gallo-Roman history, which basically is when the Romans came and took over the land from the Celts. And there is also a little part that is specifically Celts. So I also got a lot of information by the people working there. I guess they are historians. And they also sent me to Libramont, which is over an hour's drive from here, because there is a museum dedicated to the Celts in their own. But what I could learn is that we have many Celtic objects here in the region that are authentic, and they are all à doigt to see. So like on the map that I used for my readathon, the Condrosi are on the other side of the Meuse. But what is not known is exactly where the territory of the Aduatuci reached. It is a tribe that we know only a little bit about due to Caesar, the Roman emperor who attacked the Celts, who one and wrote about them, and we know that they are above the Meuse and that they are also a little bit blocked by the Sambre. And that's all. For a long time was thought that Namur was their stronghold, but there is no proof of that. They think now that it is more up to the northwest, to Treize, where they found very recently a vestige of a settlement, a fortificated settlement that it has the dimensions and the layouts that Julius Caesar uses to describe the settlement of the Aduatu Sea. He did beat them, drove them all the way up northeast to a city now called Tongeren, and he made 53,000 prisoners that he sold as slaves, and that was almost the end of the Aduatu Sea tribe. I hope this is not predicting anything for the outcome of the readathon, though. It is set 3 years before the moment that Caesar came and took over this region. The next book I read was only for GameNight. I ended on recycling. Well, I knew I picked that one up front. And the book that I read for that is A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This book is one that I found in a little free library. It is very old in a way that it even fell apart. So I think it is giving a second life to an unwanted object, and that's part of recycling. I had some difficulty getting into this one. I thought the first part, in which is explained the whole way of creating humans, was very boring. Boring, confusing, and maybe not really boring, but the terminology is difficult. There's many words that even in French I don't know. I didn't take the time to look them all up because I feel most of them are created for this story and do not really have any scientific value. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. And once we got past that and were in the story or in the events that are going on, I really was absorbed in this book. I am not sure if so soon after reading it I am able to have an opinion on it. It feels like having many layers. I feel like maybe I should at some point reread it to make sure. A lot of people talk about, and we see like the world is pushing to consume and to have like no critical thinking. I can see that, but I feel there are also like an whole bunch of other things I have questions about. Like I feel the position of women is not so great. I wonder if it is not like we keep the lower classes stupid and drugged, but I feel the higher we go, the less conditioned people are and the more voluntary they take drugs because of this conditionment to not feel anything. And I feel that maybe this book has something to tell about more about how manipulating the human mind is not as successful as some people would like it to be, and how we treat the people who are different, on who this conditioning didn't work as we wanted, more than about a book like As Long As You Consume, You're Happy. But that's only my very brief thought after a first read. I will most definitely try to convince Celia and Jorim to read it as well, to see how they interpret things, how they feel about it. And I annotated it, and I would like them to like annotate also in it. And we'll see, maybe one day I'll get them convinced and we'll talk about this again. Maybe not. We'll have to see what the future brings. The next clip is me updating the spread for GameNight in my reading journal. I haven't done that in my previous vlog, and so I will do it all at once. And also adding in the last book for the Battle of the Bands, since the book I wanted for that didn't came in, and I decided to read something else for it. When I finished all those reads, I had 2 books left that I wanted to read. One is the Robin Hobb that I need to read since June, that was on that TBR. And then I also have the Devil You Know, which is on my Connection Challenge TBR. But I also knew I didn't want to have a book crossover from July to August. And those books were too voluminous, too many pages to read in the time that I had left. So I had a look on the board for GameNight which prompt I could reach with a maximum 1 extra move, because I did had a lot of smaller reads available in my stack at home. I could land on the cat, which made me think about the expression like cat and dog. And I happened to have this little book. It's very small. It's 180 pages, something like that. It's by a French author's duo. It has not been translated. It's a book from the 1980s. The title, if I translate it, is The Contract. And in this book, we are following G, who is a hitman, and he works for this very mysterious Monsieur Louis, Mr. Louis. And he has been sent off to do a very strange mission or contract that is organized completely different of all the others that he has done. And I think he had done 11 or 12 up to then. And he doesn't feel very confident in this job, but also just before leaving for it, he is the not the victim, the witness of a terrorist attack in which, and I'm very sorry, trigger spoiling, someone put a grenade onto a smaller dog's collar, the dog that he stole from this person, and then he sent the dog back because this was an efficient way of killing these persons that were around. And this very affected me, but it also very affected G, and it makes him feel even more uncertain about the mission that he's going on. So he has a drive to do to a villa, and he needs to kill this guy. And we're following his preparations, in his wanderings, but things are not going to go well. He feels like he has to shoot from too close up, only like 20-50 meters instead of maybe 150-200, and he feels this is going to go terribly wrong. And when he finally pulls the trigger, he accidentally touches the dog of this man, the dog that was mentioned nowhere, that he had never seen or observed before. And he has to go down to the place where this happens because he has to make it look like a robbery. He has to take away some documents and send them back to this Monsieur Louis. And the dog survived. He is wounded, but not mortally. And when he calls his boss, this guy says, well, just kill the dog. And G doesn't want to kill the dog, so he gives it some Valium so it would be quiet and asleep, so that he can take care of the wound, loads it in the car, and drives off with it to a little house that nobody knows he owns in a very small village. He had bought that house as a retreat place. And so he goes there and he heals the dog, lives with the dog. The dog turns out to be a very young, 1-year-old German Shepherd. He's called Romulus. Because there are papers, in the papers that he gathered, there are papers about this dog, and the owner of it, he was gifted a dog and he wanted to send it back because he wouldn't want this dog. He was planning on doing some side because this guy had a lot of information about Monsieur Louis' other activities like blackmailing. And so slowly our protagonist discovers that, well, he will be looked for, the dog will be looked for, he is in deep trouble. And in all these papers there is a contact of someone a lady he used to know. So he'll contact her to see, because it seems she's also working for Monsieur Louis. And he wants to know if he's safe. And so he's reassured by visiting her. He goes back to where he lives and just enjoys the summer he's going through with his dog, until one day at the nearby, how does it call in English? A place where they take away the trees and they make wood out of them. So they are made of wood, right? But planks and to build, to use in construction. There is an accident or even a fight that happens and someone gets wounded. And not only the doctor comes there, but also the police, and he's the closest phone, so everybody passes through him. And there the police finds out or gets suspicious about this dog that they are looking for. And he contacts this lady again, and then the whole stuff will switch. And again, this is a book that is not translated, it's from the 80s, it will not be. So he contacts this lady again, she comes over. It turns out that she made him kill Monsieur Louis a while ago, that she is Monsieur Louis, and she wants to take this man with her along to start anew somewhere. She has like this big suitcase with money with her. Just let us go away, but you cannot take the dog. The dog is going to be like a red bacon, and he doesn't want to leave the dog. So they get into a fight. This lady kills the dog. I was so heartbroken. He kills the lady, and then he ends its own life because he doesn't want to live this way. This is a very short book, and most of the time short books do not grip me, do not really touch me. I read them more like for story than for emotion or a character attachment. I read this like in one day. I was so emotionally involved. I was very shocked at the start, and all the book you doubt things are not going to end well, and all the book I wished things would go. I said, no, this will end well, no, it cannot end badly. And when it does, it is written in such a way that it made me really sad and tear up. And this book was wonderful about the love that a man can have for a dog, about the purpose and the home feeling that this dog can bring to a person that is so alone in his life. It was so heartwarming and also nerve-wracking with the background going on at the same time. This was exceptional, and I am very sad that this has not been translated, because it should have. It is a really good book. And that are all the books that I've read this week. 4, which is a lot. Well, 2 that I've already started, and then 2 smaller ones. I think it balances out with my usual amount of reading in 1 week. I hope you enjoyed seeing these reads. There is, of course, the weekend, and this weekend it was TBR-athon. So the book that I picked for that, which is also the first book for my own readathon, will be discussed like in an other vlog, and it will exceptionally be like not this week but the week after, which is quite long after TBR-athon. But if you want to make sure that you see this vlog, you can subscribe to this channel. You will easily find it back and be able to find all my videos. If you want to be notified as soon as it comes up because you're impatient to see what I've been reading, then you can hit on the notifications. If you enjoyed this video, I would be very grateful if you would like it so that other people can discover this channel and this video and maybe also have a good time. I wish you a very happy week. See you soon!